Today I want to unlock a powerful secret for you. This is the first episode of Guitar Wisdom, where we're going to be applying a very powerful technique to the guitar and actually be putting it to use, because wisdom is knowledge plus experience, is one way to think of wisdom. And we're going to actually apply the fourth, right? We're going to use the fourth. Remember, the fourth will be with you always. So why am I so excited about the fourth? Well, this one concept, I think, can really change the way you look at guitar and music. We have to unravel this a bit. So if I just played a fourth interval, say B and E, you might not know what the big deal is just from that, because that interval harmonically isn't all that amazing necessarily in isolation. But in context, it becomes very powerful very quickly, especially if we move up a fourth in a progression and any kind of riff, and we're going to demonstrate that today. For my ally is the fourth, and a powerful ally that is. So in this first episode of Guitar Wisdom, we need to address intervals. If you really want to excel in how you understand music, you could read a theory book, and that might be great, but you could also take a shortcut and just really get involved with intervals as soon as possible. They don't have the sexiest name, but intervals are where it's at. If you really want to train your ear, and if you want to understand how to navigate the guitar, navigate just the language of music, all the notes, all the intervals, all the positions of a key, of a scale, etc., as well as chord progressions and songs. Let me demonstrate here. If we take, say, an E chord, first thing I want to do is have an exercise for you, which we're going to play through with a tab above at the end of the video, so you're welcome to jump to that. But I recommend walking through this with me, because I'm going to go through all three exercises, and we're going to peel back why fourths are so powerful, and I'm going to play for you some examples improvised off the cuff, and we'll see how it goes. So what we're going to do is we're going to go up a fourth, and then we're going to go back, and we're going to infuse it with minor pentatonic, minor blues as a bonus. So it would sound like this. Here's an E to an A progression, back to an E, but I'm going to pepper in some minor pentatonic to really make it more musical and fun. Here we go. 3, 4. Let's do G. Let's do A to D. Remember, the fourth will be with you. Use the fourth. So why am I so excited about the fourth? Let's get back to that question. Because first off, it just sounds really good. Let's say I take the 5 open chords and I say, all right, my goal this week or today or this practice session, whatever, is to just comfortably go up a fourth and back. And you're going to find that the blues and pop and rock songs all do this. Very rarely will they not go to a 4 chord. Really good to know where the 4 chord is. For one thing, you can see it on the fretboard, which is also something we're going to talk about. But I can simply count the letters E, A, E, F sharp, G sharp, A. So don't worry about the sharps, but just the letter names, E, F, G, A, is sufficient for the open chords, all right? Same thing with G. G, A, B, C. Okay, I just count to 4. And I'm back to G. How about A? A to D. How about C? C to F, our first bar chord. And then finally D goes up to G. But it looks like it's going down. More on that in a bit as well. All right. Now, with bar chords, this is excellent to do as well. I can take an A major to a D chord in a bar. If I go from a 5th string root, say from D, it looks like I'm going down to G. So that's down a 5th. That's the inverse of a 4th. One of the possibly confusing things. But music, because of the octave, can go up or down, right? So we can go down a 5th to a G, and that's still going up a 4th. Remember, the 4th will be with you, always. Now, we hear fourths every day, believe it or not. We hear them in the intervals of chords. What do I mean? Well, let's take an E chord, our trusty E chord. A chord is a combination of intervals, all right? 3 notes, and we can measure the distance. Interval is just a distance between 2 notes, all right? A lot of notes going on here. Not really though, there's just 3. They're just repeated in octaves. So we have E, G sharp, and B. Okay, we're not gonna go through too much theory today. We're gonna mostly focus on the guitar and look at these intervals, how they look on the guitar. So if I take B to E, that's the 5 to the 1, or 5, 6, 7, 8. 5, 6, 7, 8. So that's a 4th. So the B to the E is a 4th. Same thing with every chord. If I look at an A chord, the E is the 5th, but I can also play it in the bass, the 6th string, and the 5th string. So there's a 4th if I play it from the 6th string. All right, if I play a D chord, we have an A note and a D note. That's a 4th interval. Now you might recognize the 4th from Star Wars, which I'm clearly referencing in this video. So that D to G is a 4th. Now are you noticing anything here, like a little pattern? That's the guitar basically helping us. I just did open 4th to 3rd string in order to play a 4th. That is in the G chord. Those strings are open, 4th and 3rd strings. So the guitar is tuned in 4ths, but on the 2nd and 3rd string we have a major 3rd. So we need to understand that, because if I play any riff, I can just go up a 4th and basically do it on the same fret. So let's say I play a nice little G blues riff on the bass. I can go up a 4th and then back down on the same fret. Now if I'm going to start on the 3rd string, I have to go up a fret and then back down. And that's going to be the second exercise. Is we're going to play some riffs and we're going to take them up a 4th. What this is going to lead to is blues. All right, if you play a riff, you can always play it up a 4th. So if I take a blues in E, see, I just slid up to 5th fret 2nd string or to an E. Then on the 4 chord, I slid up to an A. Right? I just went 3 to 5 2nd string, 3 to 5 1st string. And you can do this anywhere at any time with any note, because we can use the minor pentatonic from E and A. I can go. Okay, now that looks a little tricky because the symmetry breaks. We have to go up a fret. So instead of 4th to 3rd, I go 5th to 3rd. So, that can trip you up. So you just need to make sure that you add a fret to the 2nd string, and then the 4ths will play out. So I can follow this logic to take any riff, and I can just keep going. This would be the bonus exercise. If you want to take any riff, just keep going. What if I started with this A, first position, pentatonic, but I went like this, and I went up a 4th each time. Like that, let's do that. So then I'm back to A, then I go up a 4th. Go up to the next string, right? G, same fret. C. Go up a fret for the 2nd string. Now I'm running out of room, so I'm going to go down to the B, down a 5th instead of up a 4th. And etc. Now let's go ahead and talk about the scary theory behind it. I'm just kidding, it's not scary. What is a 4th? Well, it's 5 frets. Okay, so if I go up from E to the 5th fret, I should be at A, and I am. And I can verify that by the 5th string being open. That's 2.5 tones, or 5 semitones, or 5 half steps, or 2.5 whole steps. Whole steps are synonymous with tones. Half steps are synonymous with semitones and frets. So you've got 5 frets equals a perfect 4th. Why do we call it perfect? Because 4ths and 5ths can only be perfect or diminished or augmented. 2nds, 3rds, 6ths, and 7ths can only be minor or major. But we're not going to talk about that right now too much. This isn't necessarily an interval lesson. I just want to get you playing 4ths. Now, what does the 4th sound like? Well, it can sound a little bit hollow. If I play A and D strings together, it doesn't necessarily have a pleasing sound because it's actually kind of ambiguous as to what it's doing. But if I played a D chord, now it sounds kind of powerful because it's reinforcing. So when we hear a 4th, usually it's from the 5th to the root. 5th root, which brings me to the next interval training. Here comes the bride. Or or Star Wars. Da 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 da. So, perfect fourth, here comes the fourth. Now that being said, it's meant to reinforce the root or the tonic, so it's not necessarily as pleasing sounding as a third or melodious sounding, but that's okay. On the other hand, if I take it from the root and I go up a fourth, let's say I go from D to G, it sounds like a sus4, like it wants to resolve, so that's actually a tension, and a nice tension, right? A lot of great songs have sus4, right? So this interval D to G is a fourth, resolved to a third. So it could either sound like it's reinforcing a tonic, or it sound like a sus4, or other things that we're not going to get into. But you want to train your ear to know the fourths so you can understand chord progressions and melodies. I told you I wouldn't talk too much about intervals, but I lied because I'd love to mention that let's define what you're already doing probably. If you're playing scales, let's say I play a major scale or a minor scale, and you're running that all up and down, which I highly recommend doing, you're playing seconds, okay? A note to a note is a second. From C to D is a second, it's a major second. D to E is a major second. E to F is a minor second. And you know, a lot of great melodies just use seconds, but a lot of great melodies also use thirds, and thirds come from arpeggios. If I did a C major 7 arpeggio, I'd have a major third, minor third, major third. I could keep going to a 9, there's a minor third, etc. So if you practice arpeggios, which I also recommend, you might be pretty well versed in thirds. Fourths don't really get their due as much because we only see them mainly, like I said, reinforcing the tonic. So if I did an arpeggio C major and then I went from G to C, there's a fourth. So you want to practice going from any chord up a fourth, back. Any riff, back to a fourth, back to the root. Now the third exercise is, how do we stop just going up and then down, right? I mean, there's got to be a way to not just be like A, D, and then back to A. Because for one thing, there's the 5 chord and there's other things happening. Remember when I said the fourth appears when we go 5 to 1? That's true with chords as well. Where am I getting at? Well, this is where you'll start to have no need to go back. You can just keep going forward through either going up or down. Let's say I go up to the fourth, all right, to the 4 chord. Then I go up to the fourth, same fret. But instead of going back, I want to go to the 5 chord, for instance. Go up a whole step, okay, a major second. And then I go up a fourth from here, and I'm back to the 1 chord, but just an octave up. I can do it up an octave here, as a fourth, up a major second, and up a fourth. So what we're going to do now is we're going to run through these 3 exercises with a tab above. They're beginner friendly. Anybody can benefit from them at any level. It's pretty much mostly blues vocabulary. So I hope you enjoy that. This will be written out on the Patreon. Really big thanks to all the patrons there. As you can see, I'm back in Colorado into my original studio where I started the channel. And I'll be here for a month or 2. So nice to be back. Hope you all are doing well. Check out the Patreon where this will be written out as a study guide and an exercise PDF. Remember to subscribe, hit the thumbs up and the bell icon, and looking forward to seeing you in the next lesson.